Bonjour ladies, hi year 10 and welcome to a video on the passé composé tense. First thing to note is that this tense will be referred to as a few things throughout this video. They are all interchangeable. Alright, so it's the passé composé. It might be called the perfect tense. More easily for us, the past tense. So, looking at forming the past tense, learning how to do so, specifically with the verb avoir, more on that in a bit. And it's important to understand that you need to know how to form the past tense in order to get your C grade, at the very least. Okay, so here we go. You can listen to this video, you can make any notes you like, do the exercises when I instruct you to, and we will go from there. So, here we go. Right, on the board now, or on the screen, there are going to be three phrases. Have a look. We've got Ali played football yesterday, they have visited Paris 3 times, and we did tidy the bedroom. Now think to yourself, what do these have in common? Right. The reason I'm asking is because it's important that we understand our own language before we go into another one. So hopefully you have answered that they are all past tense phrases. But they're written in 3 different ways. Played, have visited, did tidy. It's not done the same way. All of these 3 English tenses can be translated by just one in French. It's called le passé composé. So that's nice. So here they are, translated into French. We've got Ali a joué au foot hier. Ils ont visité Paris 3 fois, and nous avons rangé la chambre. Now what is the first thing you notice about this tense? Look at the first highlighted word in each sentence, the one in pink. If you're awake, and if you remember covering this in year 8, possibly year 9, you might have noticed that the purple is from the verb avoir, meaning to have, specifically from the present tense of avoir. Here's a reminder of what it looks like in full. J'ai, tu as, il a, elle a, nous avons, vous avez, ils ont, elles ont. I have, you have, he has, she has, we have, you have, they have, they have. Why is this important? Because when you think about our examples, the past tense, I have played, you have played, he has played, etc., etc. So it's important that we know how to say those phrases. Here they are. J'ai, I have, tu as, you have, il a, he has, and so on. Might be an idea to get this in full in your book. Might be a good idea. Once you know this, you're halfway there. You need the form of avoir relevant to the person who is talking in the sentence. Now, that's a bit of a mouthful, but in a nutshell, for GCSE, you're usually going to write or talk about yourself, right? So as long as you know that the present tense of avoir in the I form is j'ai, you're on to a winner. Where do you pick up the bigger marks? Well, when you start talking about other people. Il a, elle a, nous avons, we have, that sort of thing. Right, we're halfway there. We've got the correct form of avoir, we've decided who we're talking about, and we're going to select the right one. So now it's on to step 2. Have a look at the words in jaune, in yellow, in the following phrases. So Ali a joué au foot hier. Ils ont visité Paris 3 fois. Nous avons rangé la chambre. This word right here is a fancy linguistic phrase known as a past participle. You don't necessarily need to know that, but it's nice to get that knowledge out there. Past participle. Now, to form a past participle, you take the infinitive and do the following. Now then, an infinitive, another linguistic term. It's the form of the verb that you find in the dictionary. Verbs are categorized in 3 ways in French, and it's all to do with the spelling. Verbs either end in er, ir, or ari. If you go into the dictionary and look for a word and it doesn't end in one of those, it ain't a verb. So, for an ER verb, manger, for example, you remove the ER, bin it, and change it to E accent. Alright? So, up here, look, jouer, this started life as J-O-U-E-R, to play. I got rid of the E and R, dumped it, and I've replaced it with an E accent. If your verb ends in IR, you remove the IR and replace it with just an I. One of the most common ones here is the verb finir, F-I-N-I-R. Get rid of the IR, fin, add an I, fini, finished. And RE verbs. You remove the RE, bin it. If you've removed something, you've got to replace it. You change it to a U, randomly. So, I don't know, common verb that's RE, répondre, to respond or to answer. R-E-P-O-N-D-R-E. Get rid of my RE, I'm left with répond. I add a U on the end, répondu, responded, answered. Done. So, you kind of have everything, right? Everything you need to know. I played, j'ai joué. At this point, this is a very common error. Can you see what's not happened here? This person has successfully selected the form of avoir that they want to use, j'ai, because it's I. They've got their verb in the infinitive. At this stage, they need to do one more thing. What is it? If you said to yourself, get rid of ER and add an E, you would be correct. J'ai joué. It's very important you don't neglect this step. Alright, so here are some examples of the three types of verb, right? All the three different endings. Change the infinitive into the past participle. There's going to be 10 of these. Travailler. I think it's 10 anyway. Regarder. How would you put that into the past? It's an ER verb. Should have regarder. Finir. Fini. Choisir. Choisi. Répondre. Répondu. Entendre. Entendu. Perfect. There was 6, not 10, my apologies. So you see, you've got your infinitive. The two letters that you've got rid of, ER, IR, RE, this is the equivalent of to, TO in English. To work, to watch, to finish, to choose, etc. You get rid of it, you add your correct ending. Right, now that you know the present tense of avoir, it should be in your book, hopefully you've made some notes, and you know how to form a past participle. In other words, which two letters to take off and what to replace with. Test yourself with these sentences. This is where I believe there's 10 of them. Right, so we've got je and travailler. Make this past tense. What comes after je in avoir, and how do you make travailler past tense? Write it in your book now. Hopefully, a little bit of help for you. You've come up with je travailler. Next, number 2. Il and regarder. What comes after il? And how do you make regarder into past tense? Well, il a. Number 3. Nous and finir. Remember, what comes after nous in the verb avoir, and how do you make finir past tense? Nous avons fini. Number 4, il, with an S on the end, and jouer. Excuse me. What comes after il in avoir? How do you make jouer past tense? Hopefully you've got I'm sorry for the clapping, it's annoying. Maman, and this is the French word for mummy, or mummy dearest, or répondre. Mam answered. This is where people start to lose the plot a bit because you've got a name involved now. Mum or mammy or whatever you want to say is the equivalent of she. So maman a répondu. Instead of a name, I can put he or she. Vous, and choisir. What comes after vous? And how do you make choisir past tense? Vous avez choisi. Christina et moi. Chanter, meaning to sing. You're doing well if you get this one. I'll explain the answer in a second. Christina et moi. What would you put? Well, your answer is avant chanter. Avant usually comes after nous, N-O-U-S. Christina and me is the same as saying we. Hence, nous avons. Reto et Marc écoutaient. So, Reto and Mark listened. Now then, Reto and Mark écoutaient. You should have on écouté. Why? Because on is the they form of avoir. Reto and Mark is exactly the same as saying they. It's just more specific. You're giving names. Tu and parler. What comes after tu in avoir? How do you make parler past tense? Parler. Elle and entendre, to hear. She heard. Elle Okay, very well done if you got those correct. It's all practice. Remember, the past tense is made up of two parts. The first part is the present of avoir. Your j'ai, your tu as, il a, elle a, nous avons, vous avez, and so on. The second part is the past participle of the verb, which you are then going to put into the past. For example, il a regardé, nous avons fini, j'ai répondu, etc. That is your part of avoir, and that is your past participle. Right, to test. We have 12 phrases here, all written in the past tense. Okay? Now there's one or two in here which are a little bit more difficult because they use the verb être to go into the past tense. Now I'm going to do a lesson on that in a couple of weeks probably, because it's a bit difficult, but see what you can do. The ones that I'm thinking you're not going to be able to do, you might struggle with then, are 3, 7, 8. Yeah, 3, 7 and 8. If you can do them, give them a go. But all I'm asking you to do here is to put these phrases in the correct order so that they make a past tense sentence. If you would like feedback on this, you can either email it to me or upload it to Moodle and go from there. And finally, if you manage to understand all of this and you get it, félicitations, congratulations, because it is a difficult thing to do. If there are any questions, I'm on Teams to help you out. Otherwise, au revoir.